man and his wife are going to do at night, if they have light, they can read, right? They have things to do. They can play games. All right? If they don't have light, then they do other things. All right? I'm not against population, or I'm kind of neutral on population control, but this is there you go. Place. So this one, this is only, it's really small, only $5, and power this up and can run all night. Okay, at least one light. So, and in China, this one I bought sample, okay, which means I can get it cheaper. It's only 40 US dollars. So it's at about 32 euro, okay, for this. Now, the idea is that this would grow. In America, this is kind of a joke. Nobody would do this in America, except, it's novel. But each home can grow. The box can be like this big. And you buy it off the shelf. You go to Walmart, you go to Lowe's. You just buy your box. You don't have to hire a contractor. Okay? So that's it. All right, that's all I have. So.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting presentation. I would suggest the participants to start the Q&A session, and while the Q&A session, we'll try to get the connection with our third speaker, because we had a small technical problem, but we'll try to fix it just right now. So, any questions? Please.
Those are great presentations, and I appreciate it. The question I'm going to ask you, and I really don't want to answer in any currency. You're 100% right, both of what you guys are talking about. I want one question answered. Without a currency, what is energy worth? Don't give it to me in dollars or currency. What is energy, specifically renewable energies, worth?
Are we? Yeah, okay, well. Simple answer. Energy is, in this society, energy by itself is essentially life. Okay? 1 joule is a bit of life.
What I'm saying is, I want to know, if I had no currency, and I want to buy that black box, so I can see light, what would I have to do to get that black box?
We're into commodities now, so that energy, a strict barter system. Energy is strictly a barter system. Okay, it's a commodity trade system. And energy, the value of energy, forget money, doesn't exist. Energy is what you can deliver in a particular commodity. It's the amount of resources that you can create, other resources and manufactured goods that you can create with that specific amount of energy. It's a conversion issue.
But I'm saying, John, that's a manipulative thing. I need to know specifically what I need to do, how many hours do I have to work, what do I need to do to buy that black box without using any currency. I need to know what hours of labor I need for that, to purchase that product. And I need to know so it can't be manipulated. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think you're hung up on hours, and I'm hung up on simple energy.
Just tell me what I need. What do I need to get?
Okay, starting from here, starting from where we are, or starting from zero.
Right.
But-
What you going to need?
Yeah.
What's the
Well, you can
Yeah.
pay with coffee or cocoa. It's fine. They'll accept. Yeah, they'll make a transaction.
You want my cup? I give you my cup.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the real world. How do things really work?
Excuse me. With my apologies to the panel, may I reply to him?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm not an expert, I'm only a farmer, but I think the answer to your question is time.
Hours.
Yes, I think so. You know.
Yeah, well, the problem I have with hours, measuring human hours is that it's an input, not an output. Energy is an output. So if you want a specific value for energy, if we're sitting here in real time and we've got Jim's solar panel here in Split, we can all grow wealthy on the 5 watts it's going to produce for 12 hours a day. You know, that would be our income, and that we could use that energy to do other things. Hopefully we would have other means of generating energy and applying it to other work. But energy is both work that can be done and work that has been done. So we're just in the middle of that. We're converting energy into other things. It's a process.
All I ask for is I need to know all the things that the wheat the commodity, people work for the wheat. People work to make that product. They put so many hours in it. They put energy into making that.
What I'm saying is that the human interaction, the hours that you're looking for, the human interaction, how much time are you going to work for 1 kilowatt hour? It depends on how rich those resources are. If all we've got is this, we're going to have to work pretty damn hard. If we happen to have if we find a resource like this, looks disturbingly like nuclear uranium yellow cake, doesn't it? But chock full of energy. So if we had to spend 1 hour of our time to make 100 kilowatt hours, then that's a conversion. If we have to spend, an hour to make a 5 watt generator, that's another thing. So it depends on the richness of the
I
resource.
agree with you. I'm just asking you a simple question. What is it worth?
Okay. Okay, yeah, let's get it. Let's go ahead. So, let me introduce you to third speaker in this session. Electrical engineer. He's focusing on he studied electrical engineering in the first place, so as to investigate further. So following that, he has concentrated on renewable energy, especially with regard to solar. He was instrumental in starting up a project, the first grid-connected solar energy installation in Australia in 1993. He has been much influenced by the work of Buckminster Fuller and attended his last lecture in 1983. After much analysis, he has become satisfied that using electrical energy as a currency source from renewable energy is a good idea. So, Malcolm, do we hear you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. We can start.
Okay. We open today with a primary question. In the future of the world, how is everyone going to obtain an income? If we use high technology and run the world very efficiently, as we would like to, then it is possible that many people's jobs will become obsolete. How could then do they obtain an income? This is very important, for not having an income is disastrous to individuals as well as society, as people often seek legal means to obtain an income. So how do we deliver security of income in a very changing world? It turns out that the idea of energy as money is revolutionary, as it provides a breakthrough approach where income need no longer be tied to employment. Therefore, I present to you a whole new economic paradigm, First, I'm going to give you the envelope of this new paradigm, the rules of what is allowed. In this new paradigm, energy moved from being a commodity of the economy to being the lifeblood of the economy. We're going to start out visually. Please consider these images. Now, the images you can see on your screen at the moment, they're real and they exist. These structures have a web of primary embracing tension and discrete or islanded members of compression. Can we move to the next picture, please? Amazingly, none of the compression members or sticks touch each other. These structures are strong, flexible and self-sustaining. They can bounce. In these structures, tension, or pulling things together, is the major structural element, whereas the compression elements form secondary discrete islands. That this physical structure can exist in nature is symbolic. Here is an example showing off the structure in a tree. Can you move through a couple of images, please? Thank you. And to the next image, please. Thank you. So these tension elements often occur at odd angles, such as 60 degrees. Now to make the leap to the social domain. Tension forces can be seen as cooperation, pulling things together. Tension is a force of integration. Compression forces, pushing things apart, is related to the concept of competition. When we compete, we push each other away. Compression is a force of disintegration or differentiation. This physical model shows that both of these forces are essential. In our current economic system, competition is primary and cooperation is secondary. We want to shift this balance around. In this presentation, I am going to propose something very controversial, that we have a primary effort of cooperation in our society. It turns out that energy as currency lends itself to an opening to achieve just that. To achieve this cooperation, we need to have something attractive. Later, I am going to offer something very good, very attractive for us to cooperate around. Another thing to say before we start is that this new system is not built compressively on top of the foundation of the past. Do not look back to the past for the existence of this system. This new system, instead of being drawn into existence, is being pulled into existence from the future. As a result, it incorporates a lot of current technical ability with a strong eye on future technical capabilities. First, we're going to look at what the new system is. Then we're going to look at how does everyone obtain an income. So first, in this new economic paradigm, electricity would be the money, the currency. Kilowatt hours would be the unit of exchange. This new currency would move through society via the electricity power grid that already interconnects us. Computers and high-speed internet would keep the flow of the track of kilowatt hours through the system. To store or hold our energy kilowatt hour money, we would all have our own energy savings bank accounts. However, these would be banks of batteries. These battery banks would be connected to the electricity grid. People would be able to send electrical energy into the grid and receive kilowatt hours from the grid, similar to how we today use our computers, uploading and downloading information across the internet to and from our hard drives. Battery technology is developing rapidly at the moment, especially with the development of ultra-capacitors married to lithium-ion batteries to make ultra-batteries. There are many forms of developing battery and energy storage technology, such as pumped hydro and reverse thermal ammonia reactions. When we purchase things at the shops in this new energy economic system, each item will be presented in terms of kilowatt hours. The price of each item will reflect or encompass the amount of embodied energy in each item, plus probably some profit markup. Then when we pay for the item at the checkout, the process, we would swipe our debit card. Can we please move to the next slide? The next visual slide, please. Well, assuming we have a vision of the new, well, it's not that slide, but that doesn't matter. We'll keep on pushing along. So then the system's computerized electrical accounting software would make sure that the right quantity of energy be extracted from our energy bank account and sent to the shop's energy bank account. To complete transaction. Now we move to how does everyone obtain electrical energy income in the first place. Now in this new system, people can't just go out and buy energy, for that doesn't make any sense if the energy is the money in the first place. Following are methods for everyone to gain an income. An obvious method is for people to have their own domestic or residential renewable energy generators. The output of their solar rooftop equipment could go straight into their energy bank account. This is a very good approach, though actually a secondary method of energy income. Many people do not have much sunny roof space or a windy farm to place a wind turbine. So now I'm going to talk about the primary method for everyone to gain an energy income, and this method incorporates the ideal of social cooperation. It is proposed that society pool its resources and build vast renewable energy generating centres. These centres would give away freely to each and every adult citizen an equal share of the renewable energy bounty harvested from the environment each day. This energy money of kilowatt hours would be distributed to everyone via the electricity grids that interconnect us with the often physically remote renewable energy generating centres. With this free income of kilowatt hours every day, people could power their domestic appliance loads, go shopping at the shops using their energy credit card, or charge their electric car to go travelling. Truly a very useful income that everyone would appreciate receiving. Social cooperation of a very attractive form. Now, since the people, the public, paid for the renewable technology, income, this free income, goes to everyone, rich and poor. After this automatic primary energy income, then there are competitive methods of gaining energy income. These methods are more familiar to you. This involves attracting to you some of the electrical energy savings that other people already have. This is done in the usual ways by providing goods and services and charging kilowatt hours of energy in payment. Something that could be considered to be a further method of enhancing energy income is to practice an energy efficient lifestyle. This energy as currency system would very much encourage energy efficiency. That's a picture of the cosmic charge card. the new energy economic charge card. So how much energy is there? There are vast quantities of renewable energy. If we could look at the solar dish picture, please. Which is, back a couple of slides, back one slide. So with solar thermal dishes, it's possible, for example, in Australia, to power all of Australia's current electricity load with only about 1,000 square kilometres of sunny desert area devoted to the solar collection. So, given the huge amount of area in the world, it's definitely possible to very with a lot of wealth. Lines that could be connected around the world. So a lot of people think that transmitting energy long distances uses up a lot of energy. That's not necessarily true. With very well designed long distance high voltage DC transmission lines, huge volumes of energy can be transmitted very efficiently. With the new energy economic system, we would look at balance of payment across the grid. That is, if there was energy money travelling in one direction to pay an account, that could be balanced with energy money travelling in the opposite direction to pay another account, thereby vastly reducing the amount of energy transmission that needs to go across the grid. Now, with regard to the cost of this system, please consider that at this advanced level of human technical development, it takes only a relatively small amount of the planet's refined physical material, metal and glass, and a small amount of human effort that's been immensely amplified by robotic manufacture, automation, and economies of scale to capture and generate vast quantities of renewable electrical energy. This is leverage of invested capital on a very grand scale. In the fullness of time, one could imagine that it would be relatively easy to find volunteers to work and build and maintain the renewable energy generating technology centres and the transmission infrastructure, given that everyone will receive a free income from it. On the topic of work, this new energy economic system is not threatened by unemployed or idle people.
So in the audience, you'll try to come up on something. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's maybe some more questions to our previous speakers because I think we are having some internet connection problem.
Thank you very much. A question to the panel. So I learned yesterday that money making is in the hands of private companies, respectively private banks. So that's a matter of ownership. But with the potential to issue money locally again, as it was before. So energy is a matter of resources, therefore also a matter of ownership, which can certainly not be made local, because it's a matter of resources, oil, etc. Also sun. So the biggest owner, for example, of forests in the world, because you mentioned the example of, every farmer can do his own biofuels. The biggest owner of forests in the world is Shell. There is more sun hours in the south than in the north, so this is also a matter of resources. And I see that energy is also inflationary, since we tend to use more and more energy. You may compare it with computers. At the beginning, the calculating speed was quite low, and you had a new software release, and with your old computer you couldn't use it. So this is going to happen to energy as well, I could imagine. So I see that energy is a limited resource, so it's not an exponential function as money, as Martin Kennedy said yesterday. So I see problem number one is a little bit solved. But regarding problem number two, the redistribution of wealth, is energy currency not only a shifting from one ownership problem to another one?
All right, okay. Question. You're saying that there's no inherent fairness built into an energy currency system. Is that effectively the...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is designed to be an absolutely cold representation of real wealth. And it's not designed to have any fairness built into it whatsoever. There's nothing embedded. There's no assumptions embedded in it. There's no justice embedded in it. That's applied after. What this will do, what energy currency will do, is get rid of the massive distortions that we're now currently experiencing with printed finance, this will allow us to look at the real wealth production systems, and it will allow us to look at how we distribute real wealth. And I would say that's vastly more, it's a base for a just society. And I'd like to say that the system Malcolm was suggesting is essentially the step two of what I'm suggesting. I suggested using energy for international, as an international reserve currency, because that's simple to do. You could do it, you could start the process in a week. What Malcolm is suggesting is the next step. But also an excellent point that he made was that we need more cooperation, less competition. And I see globalism as being massively destructive. Few people come out on top, but we waste a huge amount of human effort and resources and material. And what he's suggesting and what I'm suggesting is that if you generate a great deal of energy locally and probably consume it locally, you also build up the local industries and you have a broad-based economy, which is what we need for a sustainable society and a sustainable planet, rather than competition where every 20 years you take all your manufacturing and you pull it out of one region and go to the next region where the labor is cheaper. So I just wanted to say that. But there is no inherent, and on your question, there is no inherent fairness built into energy. But it's inherently more fair than finance as it exists now.
Yeah, well said, John, and I agree with everything. And it's the one I presented is a mix of half public to take tax money that they're just stealing and then just put it to good use, building energy infrastructure, which retirees will use and get repaid, and then the other is totally free market. So a little mix of socialism and libertarianism. And yeah, it's unfair. And people who work hard, the smart people, the go-getters will get rich, and the lazy people will just stay poor.
So still 10-19.
Okay, any more questions?
Yes, John, in your system, you're not differentiating between renewable and non-renewable energies, are you?
What are you saying?
You're not differentiating between renewable and non-renewable energies.
No, not in this, but could you throw my PowerPoint? Is that possible? I'm not, but we would have the ability to do that. We can apply the emphasis on moving to renewable. We can apply carbon taxes, etc., vastly more efficiently once we have currency tied to energy. So that has the potential to do that. There's one point I wanted to make here, which sort of underwrites the whole thing, and if we can get the PowerPoint up here. It's essentially to do with energy return on investment. Yeah, go to right there. Okay. These are actually real numbers. And this is a Canadian that's the Canadian energy return on investment. So if you say in 1947 in Canada, if you took 1 barrel of energy and invested it, for people who don't know what EROI is, and took one barrel of energy, invested it to find more energy, you would get 30 barrels of energy out. And Canadian, at the peak, when we really hit the good stuff, we were getting 70 barrels of energy out. Now that's a pretty rich return. But the Canadian conventional oil stock is really very small, and you see that decline. And with the natural gas, it goes up, it goes down. But generally, it's going down. That's the tar sands right there. That's the Canadian oil sands. So it's about 4.5 to 5. And that's the world we're going to be living in. That's solar is around 5 to 10. Wind is maybe 8 to 15. And Arabian oil, pretty good with that. No, I won't. Yeah, Arabian oil was probably started out, West Texas crude started out as 101. So here in the 1940s and through 60s, you have the peak. That's the energy we were using, okay? That's the kind of return we were getting. As we go into the future, we're going to be living here. Here's the output for energy. This is material, mining, okay? In the 1800s, you could get 6 ounces of gold per ton. Now we're down to about half an ounce. So this is a declining curve. We're applying much more scarce, harder to get energy to much less rich resources. The same in agriculture. This is a matter of fact. This beautiful curve, this is a cod collapse in Canada. That's what happened with the fisheries. So a lot of energy in, not much energy in there, a lot of cod out here, a lot of energy in, not much cod. Well, little energy, lots of cod, lots of energy, little cod. And that's what we're going into.
Yeah.
So,
I'd just be concerned, I think, correct, I'm just concerned that whilst it's on non-renewable energy, non-renewable, that you're going to encourage more ecocidal activities such as the Athabasca tar sands.
yeah. The tar sands are an environmental disaster, there's no question. But no matter what system you're in, you're going to have the desperation. And I think this is what we're trying to represent, desperation. Because here, this is what we were getting out. Effectively, this is the amount of human time. you could look at it, that this would be human time going into extracting resources. So in here, it's really rich. We're just doing a very little time, putting a little time to get a lot of resources, and now we're moving into this area. And a lot of the things that we're experiencing now is because we're spending much more on energy than we used to, and we're getting out less. Agriculture is the same thing, whether it's GM or whatever, we're putting more energy into less food output. Okay, so this is a world we have to deal with. This is, well, yeah, this is the world we're going to have to be getting used to up here, and that's going to underwrite everything. It doesn't matter what the system is, so there's going to be a desperation factor. And we have to, if we realize what's happening, we can take it into account. But if it's lost in the money system, if it's masked, we can't deal with it.
May I ask one more question, please? John, may I ask you, may I just say, isn't our currency right now backed by energy, by oil? I mean, isn't that, how are you going to control these companies that own the resource that's backing the currency?
Sources of energy production are really clearly identified, and you control them with laws. If we just leave it then...
But that's not working. We have one company, three companies owning all of the fuel sources for the world, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And they're the richest corporations in the world now. ExxonMobil is making more profits. These are not going back to the populations. These are being siphoned off the populations, and they're not being regulated. That's the problem we have now. If you're not going to differentiate between fossil fuel and renewable fuels and have some way to protect renewable fuels, you're going to have just exactly the same situation that we have now.
I think once this will help identify the issue. It won't deal with it directly, but once you identify it, we can deal with it. And that's the whole point.
Very good.